Hello, and welcome to Writing Tips with Rachel. Today I'm answering the question, what is your story to tell? Lately, I've been reading stories about characters living in poverty or in low income situations and feeling like they don't quite ring true. Or kids experiencing divorce or some kind of mental illness. And they're just kind of stereotypical and not quite representative of what it's really like to live through and with those things. I know not everybody's stories are the same. One person experiences economic hardship differently than another. But that's different than someone who hasn't ever experienced economic hardship trying to write about someone who has. It just doesn't quite ring true. As writers, we want our stories to get noticed. We want our protagonists to stand out. In children's literature, it's become almost trendy to make your protagonist suffer from something like anxiety or depression. And sometimes it's not done in an authentic way, and that can harm some young readers if we're not careful. It's really easy when we haven't experienced economic hardship or mental illness to rely on stereotypes and what's been shown in popular culture, which can be even more stereotypical. Let's think about people living in low income situations in very small towns and how they're portrayed. They're usually dumb, lazy, unmotivated, and looking for a handout. They usually talk in a grammatically incorrect way or in a redneck kind of way. I am a product of a low income family who lived in a very small town during most of my growing up years, with the exception of a year spent in a low income urban part of Ohio. I am none of those stereotypes I mentioned earlier. I'm smart, I'm educated, I work really hard, and I've always been motivated to work hard. I speak correctly and carefully. Relying on stereotypes and pop culture portrayals of things we know nothing about is disingenuous to the person who has lived or is living that life. I am not pointing out anything new. People of color have been saying the same thing for decades. It's annoying when you see someone who's supposed to represent you and they represent almost a parody of you. So, what is our story to tell? Well, I liken it to a living room. There's this couch in the center of the living room that represents our life, the one we have lived thus far. Of course, we're sitting on this couch, so anything we ourselves have experienced in life is up for grabs. Write the hell out of that material. Give it all to your protagonists. Now, a couch isn't just for you, it's also for other people. So the people who sit with you regularly on the couch, like your immediate family, your kids, your partner, maybe a parent or a sibling or grandparent, people you know intimately and have known for a long time, their stories can be the stories of secondary characters and maybe, if done carefully and respectfully, your protagonist. And then there are the people you've come into contact with. You don't know them all that well, but they're probably a more diverse group. Some of them have probably occasionally sat on your couch. So they can still be characters in your stories, but not viewpoint characters, because you haven't lived or been close to a person who experienced whatever they have experienced in their lives. Now, I'm not saying you can't ever write about lives you don't know or haven't lived. I'm just saying you need to be very, very careful and do loads of research and send it through sensitivity readers to make sure you're not relying on stereotypes. Here are some suggestions for finding your story to tell. Number 1, write down all the experiences you remember in your life. Turning points, celebrations, major and minor events, trips, competitions, challenges, everything you remember. Also write down other things like any mental health issues you've experienced or lived with daily. You don't have to write about them, but you can. These are all your stories to tell or not tell, if you so choose. Number 2, make a list of the people you know intimately. Under each name, write major things that have happened in their lives, preferably what you've experienced with them or what you're willing to research extensively if you haven't experienced it with them. Include any mental health issues, lifestyle things that may differ from your own lifestyle. I'm thinking about the wealthy uncle, if there is one, or historical events they've lived through. These are the stories you can explore with care. Number 3, consider any gaps you may have between these lived and shared experiences of life and the story you want to tell. Proceed carefully if you decide you want to tell those stories, and consider why you want to tell it. And then fill in the gaps with research or interviews and sensitivity readers. We all deserve to tell our stories. We also all deserve to see ourselves portrayed accurately in stories, not in a way that misrepresents who we are. Let's do the work necessary to tell the best, most accurate story we can tell. That's it for today's Writing Tips with Rachel. I hope this video has been helpful to you. I'd love to know your thoughts on what stories you're entitled to tell. And be sure to subscribe to my channel for videos about books and life and more videos like this. Thanks for watching.